Number 8. Scientists estimate that a stalactite on the roof of a cave will grow 3 times 10 to the negative 4 inches per year, which is the best estimate of the number of inches it will grow in 100 years. Now, before I even tackle that question, I want you to make sure you know what it's talking about. If this is a cave, I spent half my life as a kid in caves. I used to love them. So imagine that this is a cave or a cavern. And you have these things that grow from the ceiling. If you've ever been in a cave, you see them growing from the ceiling. You also see them growing from the floor. Okay. If they're growing from the ceiling, they're called a stalactite. Let me check my spelling. Yes. If they're growing from the floor, they're called a stalagmite. And I know that's not spelled correctly. Stalagmite. I will check the spelling when I'm off camera. If it's not right, I'll come back and fix it. The way that I remembered these in school, because it was a vocabulary word, I saw the word or the letter C, and that made me think of ceiling, the top. So that C reminded me of ceiling, and I could remember that the stalactites are from the ceiling down. The stalagmites are from the bottom, the base of the floor up. So just a little bit of science there, but you need to understand what it's talking about. It's talking about this thing, and it grows extremely slowly. They're not living things. They don't breathe and reproduce. They're rock formations or mineral formations that grow inside the cave. As water drips from the ceiling of the cave, you get the growth of these things. So they estimate that the stalactite, that's a ceiling, on the roof of the cave will grow this much. And they say that it's going to grow for 100 years. They want us to estimate the amount of growth for 100 years. So we will take the 1 year growth and we will multiply that by 100. In this case, 100 years. So we know that 1 year is 3 times 10 to the negative 4 power. And we're going to multiply that times 100. So there are a couple of ways you can go with this one, and I'll show you the other way, but let me finish this one as I've got it written. Since my answers are all in scientific form, let's convert the 100 to scientific form. And that's going to be 10 with 2 zeros, so that's 10 to the second power. And then we have 3 times 10 to the negative 4 times 10 to the second. Now, I know when I'm multiplying exponents or bases with exponents, I add my exponents. So we're going to keep the 10 as the base, and then I will add my exponents. I will say negative 4 plus 2, and that difference is negative 2. So my final answer is 3 times 10 to the negative 2 power. And that's going to be option B, as in boy. But let me make a copy of this so we don't have to sit through that again. I don't want to put you through that again. All right, and let me come down here to the bottom. Let's do it the other way. So here's that same mess that I made with that problem. And let me take out this. Let's go back to this point where we have our original problem. Let's do this with expanded form. Let's actually calculate an answer. So in that case, I'm going to adjust this number. Remember before I adjusted the 100. In this case, I'm going to actually get a decimal for this number. So I know that I would write down my 1, and then I have to scoop 4 places and put a decimal. So 10 to the negative 4 is that decimal. It's 1/10,000th. So 3 times 1/10,000th times 100. And you can put this in your calculator. You can even put the exponent in your calculator if you want. But you can do 3 times 0.0001 times 100. And so in 100 years, that thing would only grow 3/100ths of an inch. So in longer than the average human lifetime, it's growing maybe the width of a hair or a little more, 3/100ths of an inch. Very, very slow growth. And just to show you that this is actually true, if you go back to this answer right here, type that in your calculator. So you would have 3 times 10 to the 2 negative power, and you will get that same answer. It's simply, this is expanded form. And this is scientific form. And since my answers were in scientific form, I want scientific form. But if your answers had been in expanded form or standard form, you would need to know this method. So that's why I'm going down this road. If you don't know how to do one method, you might know how to do the other, and you could still get that question right. But the answer is B, as in Bravo.